everyone, welcome to All Up in Your Business. I'm attorney Aiden Durham with 180 Law Co. in Colorado, and today we're going to talk about some of the very important legal steps involved in starting a business. Before we get into all of that, please do subscribe if you haven't already done so, and be sure to check the description for links to additional information and resources, including a link to download my ultimate new business checklist. That checklist is going to go into a lot more detail about the things I'm going to talk about today in this episode, but also so much more. It goes into really a whole lot of detail about all the little things you need to think about when you're starting a business. And while I am a lawyer, I am not your lawyer. The stuff I talk about in this video should not be taken as a substitute for actual legal advice. If you need help with a legal situation or you need help with starting your business, you should consult with a lawyer who's licensed in your state. So I'm filming this the first week of January 2023 and the beginning of the year. This is high time for resolutions and goals for this upcoming year. And one of those goals or resolutions for you might be to finally start your own business. Hi, Birdie. Come on, we can talk about business stuff. Okay. Brady's going to join us for a little while, I guess. And so if you are one of those who made a resolution to start a new business, or maybe that's not your resolution, you just want to start your own business now, you've come to the right place. Thanks, Bird. So what's the first thing we want to do when we are starting our own business? If you Google it, if you look things up, if you read blogs and websites about it, most people are going to say you need to make a business plan. Draw up a business plan. Plan everything out. Do a market analysis. Do a competitive analysis. Do an executive summary. For who, I don't know. Listen, business plans are cool. I'm a big fan. Yeah, planning stuff is great. But if you look up like templates for business plans, they're very involved, and it looks like they could take a lot of time and require a lot of time and work. And you know what? I'm not the type to do that, and maybe you're not either. So do you have to do like a full-on business plan like lots of the internet says you should? No, you don't have to. Again, if you want to, I love that for you. Great. Plan your heart out. But if you're one like me and you don't really want to do that kind of work, you'd rather just, I want to get started with my business, I don't want to spend all this time planning, fine. Let's just do some very minimal planning. We need to plan, what's our business going to be? What are we going to sell? What's our product or service? How are we going to make money? If you know those things, that's really the most important thing. What are we going to be doing? How are we going to generate money? This planning could also include some kind of brand planning as well. Of course, coming up with a name that you're going to use for your business. This could also include doing some trademark research too, a good old trademark clearance search to make sure the name or your logo or whatever else you might be developing, making sure those are available to use in the United States and potentially to register if you want to register those trademarks too. Part of the planning can also be checking to make sure the domain, URL, social media accounts, social media handles are available for whatever name you decide to go with too. So, plan things out, but don't let the planning stage delay the actual business stage. Putting together a business plan is going to take you like a month. Forget it. Let's just get into business instead sooner, because why delay it for a month for a business plan that you may not actually need? Maybe you'll need it, but I have never needed a business plan in the 10 years that I've been in business. So, take that for what it's worth. Okay, so we planned some things out. Next thing we're going to do is register our business. This will be dependent upon what kind of entity you're going to form. If you're going to form one, the most popular types of businesses are sole proprietorships, partnerships, LLCs, and corporations. If you're going to operate as a sole proprietor, which means you're not forming a legal entity like an LLC or a corporation, you're just operating yourself as a business, you may need to register a DBA or a trade name with your state. Most, if not all states, require this if you're doing business under a name that's not your legal name. Same goes with general partnerships as well. You may need to register the domain, not the domain, the DBA or trade name for those too. Or if you are going to form an LLC or a corporation, then you would file the documents, the articles of incorporation or articles of organization, certificate of formation, whatever terminology the state uses. You'll file those to set up that entity. Typically here, the question comes up of what state should I form my LLC in? If I'm going to be operating as an LLC, what's the best state to form? The answer is different for everybody. everybody. There's no one right answer. I almost always suggest just starting with the state that you live in, or whatever state you reside in, whatever state you consider to be your home. Form your company, your LLC there. There's typically not a whole lot of reason or benefit to form your company in a different state. Of course, when we're talking about starting a business, I always recommend that you work closely with a lawyer and have a lawyer help you set everything up. I know that's not an option for everybody. It's not realistic. So you can DIY a lot of this. You can DIY the formation paperwork. You don't have to have a lawyer to do all those. But if you also don't really want to do it yourself, then there are some really good online LLC formation services that you can use too. They're not lawyers, but they're kind of in the middle of a DIY option and working with a lawyer. They will just help streamline the process and take a lot of the question and some of the confusion out of it. Now, I have a few companies that I have worked with and that I really like and recommend. I will link to those in the description too, so check that out. Next, for most of us, we are going to get an EIN, or a tax identification number, for our business. This is particularly important if you've formed as an LLC or a corporation. Sole proprietorships and single member LLCs aren't required to have an EIN. The IRS doesn't require it, but generally speaking, we still want to get it because we'll need it for a few other things anyway, usually. But this EIN, it's basically like the social security number for your business. We're going to use this for any of our tax filings, potentially other business license or permit applications, and we're going to use it for a lot of the kind of financial and accounting related stuff for our business. The EIN is free. You can get it online, typically through the IRS's website at irs.gov. There is an online application. Again, it is free, so don't pay if they're saying you need to pay some filing fee for this. No, on the IRS's website, it's free. And most of the time, it's automatic. Sometimes we get errors on the online application. We have to do a paper application via fax or mail instead, but most of the time you can get that EIN online on the IRS's website. Next thing we're going to do is look into any required licenses or permits that we might need for our business. If you're in a certain profession that may require a license, then of course you'll need that. If you're a lawyer, you need to be licensed. If you're a cosmetologist or a dentist, any kind of profession that requires a license, make sure you're licensed, of course. And the other licenses, permits that you might need are going to be very dependent upon your industry as well as where you and your business are located. They're going to differ. Some states, some cities, some counties, local jurisdictions have different rules for maybe a home-based business license or just a general business license, or maybe some kind of industry specific licenses, or a sales tax license or sales tax certificate. Again, it's going to depend on your specific circumstances. So you'll need to do a little research or talk to a lawyer to make sure you're getting any of the licenses or permits that might be required for you. Next thing we're gonna do, so we've planned things out. We have registered our business. Let's say we've registered it as an LLC, and we have got our EIN through the IRS now, and we took care of our licenses and permits. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna walk into the bank with our EIN in hand and maybe our certificate of good standing from the Secretary of State's website, and we're gonna say, hello, one business bank account, please, or multiple, but we're gonna open a business bank account. You're so sweet. I hope you just hang out here all the time. I'm loving that you're here. Ooh, have you been like cleaning your Have you been licking your ass this whole time? Per's just over here licking her ass the whole time and I have no idea. Okay. Most banks, not necessarily all, well, again, I guess it depends on your entity, but if you're operating maybe as a sole proprietorship or as a single member LLC, there may be some banks that don't require it, but most are going to need that EIN. So even if the IRS doesn't require that you get the EIN, a bank still might. So that's why I said that even if it's not required, we almost always still get that EIN for your business, namely because we need it for the bank account. Why is it so important that we have a business bank account? Well, it's incredibly important if you're operating as an LLC or a corporation, because we need to keep the LLC or corporation's assets and money separate from ours as the business owner. This is especially important if you are a single member LLC. The number one, number one biggest no-no is like no fraud or defrauding people. But after that, the number two biggest no-no of single member LLCs is commingling your assets, your personal and your business assets. If you are getting money from customers or clients and you're depositing that into your personal bank account, oh no, don't do that. Open up a dedicated business account. Business money goes into it and business expenses come out of it, and that's pretty much it. But even if you're not operating as an LLC or a corporation, if you're operating as a sole proprietorship or a partnership, having a dedicated business bank account is still going to make it incredibly easier for bookkeeping and accounting and tax purposes too. If you have all of your business transactions in one account and you don't have to go through and figure out, was this business or was this personal? You don't have to worry about that. It's going to streamline your bookkeeping and your accounting and your tax process if you have a dedicated business bank account or multiple bank accounts. You don't have to have just one. You can have more. And along with that, with setting up our bank account, we're going to want to set up some kind of bookkeeping system. If we're just starting our business, we may not have a real need for some full-blown bookkeeping and accounting software like a QuickBooks. Often a good old Excel spreadsheet is fine. Any expenses that you have, to make an entry in your Excel spreadsheet of what that expense was, the date, how much it was, what it was for, and boom, you've got a bookkeeping system now. Or if you want to get a little bit more serious with it or more automated and not just have like a spreadsheet, there are a lot of great accounting and bookkeeping software out there like QuickBooks, Xero, FreshBooks, Wave Accounting. There are lots of good ones that vary in pricing, and some of them are free, some of them do a lot more, some of them do less. Check the description because I've got a few that I really prefer and like to use, and I've got a couple of discount codes in there for, I think, QuickBooks and maybe FreshBooks as well, but check the link in the description. But either way, we're going to need some system set up for tracking our expenses and our income so that when tax time comes, we aren't scrambling through all our records. We can take care of that stuff pretty easily. And even better, again, I know you're just starting your business, money might be tight, but if you can swing it, get a bookkeeper or a CPA on your team now. Just offload it. Just don't even bother doing it yourself. Just give it to somebody else to handle. Typically, they will have some accounting or tax software already that you'll basically be able to use theirs. Next, we are going to get insurance. Insurance is important for every single business. I very rarely make absolute statements like this, but yeah, every business needs some kind of insurance. If you are in a profession like a lawyer or a dentist or a doctor or something like this, you might want malpractice or professional liability insurance. If you're not though, then perhaps just a general liability insurance policy would be a good idea. Some of us might want cyber insurance for if we get hacked or if our records get broken into, our systems get broken into, or inventory or property insurance coverage. What you'll need exactly, again, is going to vary, but at a bare minimum, pretty much all of us need some kind of general liability insurance. I recommend talking to your current insurance broker, whoever you have, maybe your car insurance or your home or renter's insurance. Start by contacting that company and see if they offer business insurance policies. Maybe you can get some bundling discounts or something like that. But outside of that, I'm a big fan of MBroker. It's an online insurance marketplace for small businesses. I've used it myself to get my own malpractice insurance and my general liability and my cyber coverage, actually, all through MBroker. So check them out. I will link to them in the description as well. And finally, we're coming to the end of how to legally start a business in 2023. We need to get some contracts in place. Which contracts? Don't know. Depends on your type of business, but pretty much all businesses are going to need some kind of contract. If you formed your business as an LLC or a corporation, you will need an operating agreement or bylaws for your LLC or corporation. If you're operating as a partnership, then you should most likely have a partnership agreement. If you're a service-based business, you should have a service agreement, a consulting agreement, a coaching agreement, depending on what kind of service. You should have some agreement concerning the services that you provide to your customers. Or if you sell products or digital products, maybe a refund policy. You might want a non-disclosure or confidentiality agreement if you're talking to, potential business partners, or if you're sharing this idea with contractors or something. You might want to keep some of your proprietary information secret with those NDAs or those confidentiality agreements. And if you sell anything online on your own website, if you have a web presence on your own website, you need a privacy policy and terms of use, which are like the service agreement for your website. But pretty much every single business is going to need some kind of contract or multiple kinds of contracts. So to recap the legal steps involved in starting a business, number one, planning. This one isn't totally legal related, but do some business planning, including some trademark/brand planning and potentially a trademark clearance search in there as well. Then we're gonna register our business, whether that's registering the DBA or the trade name or forming an LLC or a corporation. We're gonna get that taken care of. Then we're gonna get our EIN from the IRS. We're gonna get our business licenses, any kind of permits we might need. We're gonna walk into the bank and open up our brand new business banking account. We're gonna get our insurance coverage in place, and then we're gonna be lousy with contracts. And boom, there you have it. You're ready to do business. Like I said, make sure you check the description because I've got a lot of other resources there. You guys will be able to download my ultimate new business checklist for lots more detail and info on what's involved in starting a business, and more resources for LLC filing services, bookkeeping and accounting software, and a whole lot more. So check that out. If you learned a thing or two, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and click that little bell so you get notified anytime I post a new video. If you found yourself wondering, wait, Aiden, what's in sole proprietorship? What's an LLC? What's a corporation? What's the difference? What do all those things mean? I've got a video, of course, explaining the difference and what all those things mean. You can check it out right here, and I'll meet you over there. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Aiden Durham, and I'll see you next time. Oh, you are so sweet. Oh, you're such a sweet little angel. I'm so glad you're here.